Hello, welcome back to AJM Learn. Today I'm going to show you how to do a split screen sticky scroll effect. That is so hard to say. But this is when you probably seen it on a really cool text site where you land on the site. Maybe there's a big photo, large body of text, and then there's a element, maybe like a heading on the left that as you scroll, it kind of follows you down the page. This seems like something that's not attainable in Squarespace, but it is, and it's like the one use case I found for that pinning setting. So let's get into it. Remember, I post videos every week. If you like learning about Squarespace, go ahead and subscribe. All right, so I'm going to head and kind of set this section up. So all I did to create the split screen situation was put a text box on the left, text box on the right. Of course, all of your spacing can be whatever you want it to be. So first application that I thought of for this is when you need a really large block of text. I tend to stray away from these on websites, but sometimes clients are insistent or maybe it is important. So instead of, trying to putting this in an accordion or trying to, deal with it in some other way, we can have this cool effect. So on your heading, click on it, click the pin here. So this is going to pin it to the top of the page. Now I'll show you what that looks like and then we'll make some adjustments. So, and I kind of put it down the page because I think it's a better effect when it's not the first section. So you get here, oh, I'm reading all this text and the title's scrolling with me. That's cool, but the title is really, really stuck to the header. So you can offset that, which is nice. So back in the pin settings, you can choose to offset it a bit so that it's not like completely attached to the header. So I'll show you that here. So that's already much better. The next look I like that I tend to lean toward is instead of pinning to the top, pin to the middle. And this, it just follows you in more of this, middle way. So it still starts at the top. So let me show you. It still starts wherever you have the text box placed, but it follows you once basically the scroll gets to the middle. And I think this looks much more like advanced and much cooler, a little bit more purposeful. So pinning to the middle is kind of my go-to. All right, so pretty easy to set up, honestly, and there's a lot of applications for this. The way I've used it was, large blocks of text. Another one, this is actually how I first did it for a client, was they had a section kind of like this. I'll just set it up super quickly. Let's just say it was like this. And they had a few of these boxes. So they basically needed to give a series of, I think it was like a progress or like how this works. And there was this, whole series of items in here. So this is another great way to make it work. So you don't just have this random heading floating over here. Pretty cool. Lastly, a thought is you could of course do it with an image. So just anything where one side of the split screen is really large and the other one, feels like it's floating off to the side. This is a cool application for. Stacking photos, like if you wanted to stack a bunch of product photos or something, this could be a really cool way to do that, so that people can scroll through but still feel like they have the information over here. So what is nice is obviously if everything is in a text box over here, you could have like title. Oh, that is crazy. Do y'all feel like the editor just is messed up? Because I do. All right, let's pretend you have, okay, title over here and then some text, right? And then maybe you have some photos stacked. This would just be a cool way for you to maybe promote like a product or something. Even if you're doing steps in a process. So like step 1, I have, this happened. Step 2, and this is diagrams or photos. And this follows you along the way with information. That could be a super cool application. The other one I've thought of too is, maybe this is actually, so maybe this is text over here. And this is kind of similar to the first one I did, but say like step 1, let's move all this to the top. Does it want to? I do find this pinning thing to be a little weird because sometimes it won't go where you want it to go, but that's okay. Okay. So let's say we have, let's maybe like I don't know, right? Justify this. I don't know if I would do this, but you get the point. Maybe make these sections much smaller. So you can actually do this and then duplicate the sections for your steps. Maybe I'm just trying this on the fly right now, so maybe it looks crazy, but you could probably play around with it. You know, something like that could actually be really cool. I would obviously add some more interest, and it wouldn't just be text with a black background, but you get the idea. Okay, last two things I want to note here are, number one, if you want to put more than one element on the left side. So let's get into that. This is really, honestly, pretty difficult, and I haven't found the right solution, but I'll show you the closest I've gotten. So let's say you want this heading here. Let me unpin it for now. Unpin. You want a heading, and then you also want your button. So like this is supposed to be a call to action. If you pin your heading, let's say we pin it to the top, and let's pin your button to the top. Everything is fine until this starts happening. They start overlapping. If you pin them to the middle, oops, that's not what I meant to do. They overlap initially. So you can combat this by offsetting one of them, either putting a negative offset on the title or a positive offset on the button. So this works nicely until it gets to the bottom, and then the heading disappears behind the CTA. This is as close as I've gotten to making this work. I guess it's not the end of the world, right? Heading goes away and there's your CTA, but it would pop out the other side if it was longer. So this is kind of the dilemma of having two items. Let me know in the comments if you guys have found a solution to this, because I have not. Okay, last thing. I think this will be solved once we can actually use stacks, but stacks are virtually useless right now. We can't really group things. Last thing, over in your mobile settings, this should automatically, the pinning should not be on mobile. So naturally you should come over here and the pin should not be turned on. So that's great. You don't have to like come take it off. So nothing to worry about there. If you did want to pin something on mobile, you need to come over here and do it manually on mobile as well. All right. I know that was a lot, but I want to show you all a few applications. And of course you can like spruce this up with more design. This is just basic, but thought it was pretty cool and hope you enjoy.